The dawn was slow to arrive in Ash Hollow, its gray light struggling through the heavy Appalachian mist that blanketed Tara Min's small horse farm. Even after months in these mountains, Tara still felt the weight of the silence each morning. A silence both soothing and, on certain days like this, unsettling. She tried to embrace the promise of peace here, far from the chaos and heartbreak she'd endured as a trauma nurse back in the city. Yet that morning, something in the air felt different. Raven, her Mustang, seemed to sense it too. The horse stood restless at the gate, ears twitching, tail swishing with agitation. Tara poured her coffee and leaned on the porch railing, watching her companion with a puzzled frown. "Easy, girl," she called, her voice barely louder than the breeze. Raven didn't settle. If anything, the horse grew more anxious, tossing her head, stamping the wet grass. Tara glanced at the woods beyond the fence. The fog drifted between the trees, thick and low, swallowing sound and shape alike. Tara had learned not to ignore Raven's instincts. In more ways than one, that horse had saved her, nudging her out of bed on her worst days, pulling her from memories that wouldn't let go. Today, Raven seemed desperate to tell her something. Tara slipped on her boots, grabbed a jacket, and crossed the muddy yard. Raven pressed her nose urgently into Tara's palm, then jerked her head toward the forest's edge. "All right, I'm coming," Tara murmured, feeling a strange chill race up her arms. She opened the gate and let Raven lead the way, following the dark shape into the tangle of fog and trees. It was quieter than usual in the woods. The crows had fallen silent. Tara's breath misted in front of her as she hurried after Raven, ducking beneath dripping branches and stepping over roots hidden beneath fallen leaves. A mile in, Tara almost lost her footing on a mossy log, but Raven slowed, pausing as if to let Tara catch up. "Where are we going, girl?" Tara whispered, more to herself than the horse. A few yards ahead, Raven stopped abruptly, nostrils flaring, body tense. Tara moved beside her, straining to see through the dense fog. That's when she heard it, a faint, desperate whimper, so soft she thought at first she'd imagined it. Tara's pulse hammered. She crouched, listening, and heard it again, a thin, terrified sound coming from somewhere to her left. Raven nudged her, guiding Tara toward an overgrown thicket. Hidden among the briars and wild blackberry canes was the rusted shell of an old pickup truck, its doors mottled with rust, windows fogged and cracked. Tara hesitated. The sound came again. She stepped closer, careful not to startle whoever or whatever was inside. Peering through the dirty glass, she glimpsed a small figure huddled in the cab's shadow, knees to chest, arms wrapped tightly around themselves. "Hey, it's okay," Tara called softly, kneeling beside the door. "I'm here to help." There was no answer. The girl inside was impossibly thin, hair matted and tangled, wide eyes ringed with purple bruises. Dirt streaked her face, but it was the raw fear in her eyes that shook Tara most. Tara tried the door. It creaked open on reluctant hinges. The girl flinched, pressing herself against the far seat. "My name's Tara," she said, keeping her voice low and calm, hands visible. "This is Raven. We live nearby. Are you hurt?" No answer. The girl just stared, silent and shaking. Tara noticed a torn flannel shirt, bare feet caked with mud, a plastic hospital bracelet still clinging to one wrist. "Can you talk?" Tara asked, glancing over her shoulder to make sure they were still alone. "Or just nod?" A small shake of the head. "No." "Okay, I won't force you." Tara took off her jacket and gently placed it over the girl's shoulders. The child flinched at the touch but didn't pull away. Behind them, Raven stood watchful, as if daring the forest itself to come any closer. Tara scanned the truck's cab for clues. An empty backpack, a few crayons, a notebook with torn pages scattered on the floor. The girl's trembling hand clutched one scrap of paper tight. "We need to get you somewhere safe," Tara said softly. She offered her hand. The girl hesitated, then finally put her hand in Tara's. They moved slowly back through the woods, Raven circling protectively, nostrils flaring at every snapping twig. Tara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Back at the farmhouse, Tara locked the doors and drew the curtains. She ran a warm bath for the girl, coaxing her with soft words, offering food she barely touched. Tara called the sheriff's office, reporting what she'd found. But as night fell over Ash Hollow, Tara noticed headlights sweeping past her driveway again and again. Old trucks, unfamiliar sedans crawling by too slow to be anything but trouble. The girl, Anna, Tara had learned from the hospital bracelet, remained mute, eyes darting to the windows whenever engines rumbled by. Raven wouldn't leave the porch, her body tense, eyes fixed on the dark line of the woods. Tara's phone buzzed. No caller ID. She let it go to voicemail, then listened with trembling hands. A distorted voice whispered, "Stay out of this, or the girl disappears for good." Tara looked out at the fog-shrouded night, Raven at her side, and realized whatever darkness Anna had run from wasn't finished yet. And neither was Tara. The hospital in Ash Hollow was small, just 3 floors, surrounded by pine trees, with only a handful of staff on duty at night. Tara sat beside Anna's bed in the pediatric wing, her own clothes damp from the rain, fatigue written across her face. The fluorescent lights above flickered every few seconds, giving the room a washed-out, nervous feeling. Anna lay curled on her side, eyes open but far away, her small hands gripping the edge of the blanket like it might save her. A nurse came in to check Anna's vitals, speaking softly but making no progress. Tara had tried everything: warm soup, gentle questions, even offering her phone to play quiet music. Anna just stared at the wall, flinching whenever a door opened or a shadow moved outside. But when Raven appeared at the window, Tara had insisted on keeping her Mustang close, tied just outside where Anna could see her. The girl's shoulders dropped, her eyes following the horse's calm, patient pacing. Only then did Anna accept water from Tara, sipping in tiny, wary gulps. Dr. Patel, the hospital's only pediatrician, entered the room with a clipboard and a tired smile. She greeted Tara, then turned her focus to Anna, kneeling beside the bed. "Anna," she said gently, "I know you've been through something awful. No one here will hurt you. If you want, you can draw for us. Or write. You don't have to talk." Anna blinked, then, as if considering the offer, reached for the notebook Tara had saved from the truck. She pulled a crayon from the box Dr. Patel offered and started to draw, her movements stiff and cautious at first, then more certain as the images took shape. Tara watched, heart pounding, as Anna sketched a series of haunting scenes: a massive ship, padlocks chained over doors, and finally, the cold-eyed face of a woman with sharp features, always adorned in elaborate silver jewelry. The images radiated fear. Tara exchanged a look with Dr. Patel, whose face had gone grave. "I'll call the sheriff," Dr. Patel whispered. "We need someone from Child Protective Services, too." As the sun rose, Sheriff Jack Rourke arrived, grumbling about the hour, but polite enough. He was a local, broad-shouldered, with a weathered hat and the patience of someone who'd seen more than he cared to. He questioned Tara gently at first, then with more skepticism. "So you found her alone, out there in the woods?" he asked, flipping through his notepad. "No clue how she got there?" Tara shook her head. "She hasn't said a word. But those drawings, Someone's looking for her, Sheriff. They drove by my place last night, more than once. Sheriff Rourke looked unconvinced. We get kids running off all the time. Fights at home, bad foster placements, you know how it is. Tara bristled. She was hiding in an abandoned truck. She's covered in bruises, and she's terrified of whoever's out there. That doesn't sound like a runaway, does it? He sighed. We'll keep an eye out. Let me know if she remembers anything. Names, addresses, anything at all. After the sheriff left, Tara rummaged through Anna's small bundle of belongings, hoping for some clue. At the bottom of the backpack, beneath a tangled pair of socks and a half-eaten granola bar, she found another drawing. This one more frantic, edges torn and smudged. It showed a row of shipping containers, chains wrapped tight, and again, that silver jewelry woman looming in the background. But there was something else tucked into the side pocket. A folded note, written in a scrawled, unfamiliar hand. Stay silent, or the girl vanishes for good. Tara stared at the words, heart stuttering. The handwriting was shaky, almost desperate, but the threat was crystal clear. Tara's skin prickled as she realized whoever had left this warning knew where to find Anna, where to find her too. The day blurred by in a rush of worry and exhaustion. CPS sent a social worker, a young woman named Maribel, who tried to coax Anna with stickers and gentle conversation. But Anna only withdrew further, eyes darting to the door each time footsteps echoed down the hall. Tara stayed by her side, refusing to leave even for a meal. In the waiting room, Tara's phone buzzed, an unknown number again. She picked up, expecting the sheriff or Dr. Patel. A whisper on the line. You're not listening. You're making this worse. If you care about the girl, let her go. Tara's fingers tightened around the phone. Who is this? What do you want? But the call had already ended. Tara stepped outside for air, nerves fraying. The hospital lot was nearly empty. She checked on Raven, running her hands along the Mustang's mane, drawing strength from her steady presence. Raven nickered, pressing her forehead against Tara's chest, anchoring her. A pickup drove slowly down the road, same model as the one Tara had seen outside her house. It paused at the end of the lot, engine idling, windows tinted too dark to see inside. Tara glared at it, memorizing every detail. The truck lingered, then pulled away, tires spitting gravel. Back inside, Tara relayed everything to Dr. Patel and Maribel. Someone's threatening me, threatening Anna. We can't let her out of our sight. Maribel nodded, face pale. We'll move her to a secure room. I'll call the regional office, ask for emergency placement somewhere safe. Dr. Patel looked grim. If someone's watching the hospital, you both need protection. As dusk crept in, Anna began drawing again. This time, quick, feverish sketches of Raven standing between her and shadowy figures. Tara's heart ached at the trust implied in those drawings. Outside, the mist settled, thicker than before, and the hospital felt smaller, more vulnerable, as if the darkness was closing in. That night, Tara stayed in a chair by Anna's bed, listening for every footstep in the hall, Raven's silhouette visible outside in the silver moonlight. Tara knew one thing for sure: they were being hunted, and she had no intention of backing down. The days that followed blurred together in Tara's memory, moments stretched by worry and punctuated by the fragile rhythms of hope. Anna remained silent, but she was no longer unreachable. There was something about the farm, about Raven's steady presence and Tara's patient care, that allowed the tension in Anna's shoulders to ease, if only slightly. After the chaos at the hospital and the constant threat lurking outside, Tara decided it was safer for Anna to stay at her place until a secure foster arrangement could be found. CPS reluctantly agreed, with the promise of frequent check-ins and a security patrol driving by several times a night. But Tara knew better than to trust in patrol cars alone. She locked every door, double-checked every window, and kept her phone by her side even when she slept. Each morning, Tara made breakfast: scrambled eggs, toast, and strawberries from the small patch behind the barn. She set a plate for Anna, speaking softly, not pressing for answers or stories. Anna picked at her food, but over time, ate a little more each day. Raven became a gentle sentinel for the girl. The Mustang often stood at the fence, watching over Anna as she sat quietly on the porch. Sometimes Anna would draw in her notebook, eyes darting up to check that Raven was still there. Once, Tara caught a faint, almost imperceptible smile as Anna ran her fingers through Raven's thick mane. No words passed between them, but something deep and wordless did. One afternoon, as the sun set gold over the mountains, Tara's elderly neighbor, Mrs. Hopper, knocked at the door, her cane tapping the porch steps. Her presence had always comforted Tara, a woman with decades of wisdom, a deep laugh, and an uncanny ability to read the winds of trouble. "Thought I'd bring you my famous lemon bars," Mrs. Hopper said, setting down a tin and peering at Anna with kind eyes. "And maybe a little company, too." Tara invited her in, grateful for the support. Mrs. Hopper settled herself at the kitchen table, the scent of her old rose perfume filling the room. "Poor thing," Mrs. Hopper murmured, watching Anna draw. "I heard what happened from the ladies at church. Sheriff's a good man, but slow on the uptake. You're doing right by her, Tara." "I'm just trying to keep her safe," Tara said, her voice low. Mrs. Hopper nodded, her gaze never leaving Anna. "You ever think about talking to folks at the crisis support group down in town? They're good listeners, those people. They know what trauma looks like, how to help it heal." Tara hesitated. "I haven't gone myself, not since—" She stopped, swallowing memories that still burned. "Well, now's as good a time as any," Mrs. Hopper said. "Sometimes the best thing we can do is let others help." That night, after Anna fell asleep on the couch with Raven's old halter clutched in her arms, Tara called the crisis support group's number. She explained, haltingly, about Anna. No details, just enough for the woman on the line to understand the urgency. The woman listened, then gently offered advice. Keep routines, give her choices, let her know she's safe. The next day, Tara tried something new. She set out 2 sweaters for Anna and asked which one she wanted to wear. Anna pointed to the blue one. It was a small victory, but Tara felt hope blooming quietly inside her chest. By the end of the week, Anna began following Tara around the farm, curious about chores and the rhythm of daily life. She watched Tara muck stalls, feed chickens, and brush Raven. Sometimes Anna would help, handing Tara tools or scattering corn for the birds. It was slow, careful work, each gesture building a fragile bridge of trust between them. But not everyone in town was supportive. At the grocery store, Tara felt the weight of stares, heard the whispers behind her back. "That's the girl from the news, isn't it? The one Tara found in the woods? What kind of trouble is she bringing here?" Tara did her best to ignore the gossip, but it stung all the same. The cashier, however, a young man named Eli, offered a quiet smile as he bagged Tara's groceries. "Don't mind them," he murmured, glancing at Anna with gentle eyes. "People get scared of what they don't understand. You're doing a good thing." A few days later, Tara found a small package at her doorstep. Inside was a hand-knit scarf and a note. "For Anna, welcome home. If you need anything, I'm next door." It was signed simply, Maribel. Tara's heart lifted. She wasn't alone in this. Still, not everyone was a friend. A pickup truck sometimes idled at the end of her driveway at night, headlights off, engine purring. Tara called the sheriff each time, but the truck was always gone by the time a deputy arrived. Sometimes Tara would sit up late with a mug of tea and a flashlight, watching the shadows creep along the tree line. But hope, once kindled, is hard to extinguish. One evening, as a gentle rain fell on the roof, Anna brought Tara her sketchbook, opening it to a new page. There was Raven, drawn standing tall and strong, Anna beside her, both facing a line of faceless, shadowy figures. Tara's breath caught in her throat. "That's us?" she whispered. Anna nodded, eyes shining for the first time. Tara wrapped her arms around the girl, letting the silence say everything that needed to be said. They would keep going, one quiet, brave step at a time, because sometimes all it took to change a life was to refuse to turn away. And as the rain washed over the Appalachian hills, Tara knew that whatever darkness waited beyond her porch, hope was taking root inside her home. The rhythm of early summer in Ash Hollow was changing. The misty mornings were now brightened by shafts of sunlight, and the evenings rang with the sound of cicadas. But for Tara and Anna, life was measured not by nature's clock, but by the slow and fragile rebuilding of trust. As each day passed, Anna's silence became less oppressive, replaced by moments of shy curiosity and, more importantly, the hope of new beginnings. Yet, beneath the surface, worry festered. Tara knew whoever had threatened Anna was still out there, lurking in the edges of their lives like a wolf just beyond the fence line. It was a fear that colored every decision, every errand in town, and every creak of the farmhouse at night. But now there was something else, a growing sense that Anna might know more than she could say. It started when Anna left her notebook open on the kitchen table. Tara, tidying up after breakfast, paused as she noticed new sketches. These weren't like the earlier frantic drawings. They were precise, almost map-like. A grove of ancient trees, a stream, the broken frame of a wooden sign. Next to them were detailed renderings of padlocks, keys, and a strange piece of jewelry, a pendant shaped like a silver serpent. In the margin, Anna had drawn a series of dots and lines, like some kind of code. Tara studied the images, heart quickening. She recognized the grove. It was part of Ash Hollow's old forest, land her neighbor Mrs. Hopper knew better than anyone. Tara decided to trust her instincts. That afternoon, she visited Mrs. Hopper with Anna in tow, the sketches folded neatly in her jacket pocket. Mrs. Hopper greeted them with her usual warmth, her eyes quick and sharp behind wire-framed glasses. When Tara showed her the drawings, Mrs. Hopper's brow furrowed. "These trees," she murmured, tracing the lines with a gnarled finger. "They're at the old Spruce Hollow, past the Miller place. Hardly anyone goes there now, except maybe some kids trying to scare themselves. What's this?" She pointed to the serpent pendant. "I don't know," Tara said, glancing at Anna, who watched intently. "But Anna keeps drawing it. Do you think it means something?" Mrs. Hopper nodded. "That's not a child's trinket, I can tell you that much. Looks expensive. Dangerous, even." They agreed to investigate together. The next morning, as sunlight filtered through the haze, Tara, Anna, and Mrs. Hopper made their way through the woods, Raven following faithfully behind. The forest was thick, the ground soft with last year's leaves. Anna clutched Tara's hand, her eyes flicking from tree to tree. After half an hour, they found the grove from Anna's drawing. 7 ancient spruce trees growing in a circle, their roots tangled in the earth like the grasping fingers of giants. In the center, half buried by moss and leaves, was a battered metal toolbox. Tara's breath caught. "Is this it?" she whispered. Anna nodded, her grip tightening. Mrs. Hopper knelt beside the box and eased the rusty latch open. Inside, carefully wrapped in a faded towel, were several objects: a bundle of fake IDs, a small pile of jewelry, rings, earrings, and the silver serpent pendant, and most telling of all, a battered burner phone. Tara's hands trembled as she examined the contents. The IDs featured photos of different girls, some older, some younger, but all with the same haunted eyes. The jewelry was mismatched, expensive, and clearly stolen or lost by frightened hands. The phone was dead, but Tara knew someone who might be able to pull data from it. Mrs. Hopper glanced at Anna, her voice gentle. "You did good, sweetheart. You remembered." Anna ducked her head, but there was a glimmer of pride in her expression. They hurried back to the house. Tara immediately called the regional FBI office, explaining what they'd found. The agent who answered listened in tense silence, then told Tara to expect a visit within hours. True to his word, Agent James Carter arrived that afternoon. He was younger than Tara expected, sharp-suited, intense, but with a reassuring steadiness in his voice. He examined the contents of the box with professional care, jotting notes and photographing everything. "We've been tracking a trafficking network across 3 states, he told Tara, his tone grave. "The jewelry, especially the serpent pendant, is a calling card. The IDs are likely for moving girls under the radar. You and your neighbor may have just given us our first solid lead." Tara felt a chill at his words, relief and dread mingling inside her. "Is Anna safe here?" Agent Carter nodded. "We'll assign a patrol to check your property every hour. Don't answer the door to strangers. And Tara, don't try to investigate any further on your own." Tara promised, though she knew she wouldn't keep it. She wouldn't rest until Anna was truly safe. As evening fell, Anna's bravery blossomed. She sat with Agent Carter and Tara, drawing maps and recalling small details: license plate numbers, street signs, snippets of overheard conversations. Her hand trembled at first, but with Tara at her side and Raven just outside the window, she found the strength to continue. Agent Carter watched Anna, then Tara. "You're doing good work here. We'll be back in touch soon. In the meantime, be vigilant." After he left, Tara hugged Anna close, pride and fear warring in her chest. Anna was changing, growing braver with every day that she felt heard and safe. But Tara knew the shadows had only begun to stir. Somewhere in Ash Hollow, evil was watching, waiting for its moment. Tara glanced at Raven, the Mustang's eyes reflecting the last rays of sun. Whatever came next, they would face it together, no matter the cost. The days that followed the discovery in Spruce Hollow passed in a state of uneasy vigilance. Tara moved through her chores, with one eye always on the horizon, her every sense sharpened by dread. The patrols promised by Agent Carter came and went, but the shadows around her small farm felt heavier than ever. It was as if Ash Hollow itself was holding its breath. Anna stayed closer to Tara now, often shadowing her through the barn and the yard. Her drawings became less frantic and more precise, sometimes depicting memories, sometimes warnings. There were sketches of Raven standing tall between the farmhouse and a menacing black truck. Sometimes Tara would wake to find Anna asleep on the rug in her room, Raven's old halter clutched in her hand, as if it were a talisman against nightmares. But as much as Tara tried to keep everything calm, tension simmered just below the surface. One humid evening, after a long, silent dinner, Tara went out to the barn to check on Raven. The Mustang was restless, pacing in her stall, ears pricked toward the darkening woods. Tara stroked her mane, murmuring soothing words, but Raven would not settle. There was a sharp, unfamiliar scent in the air, motor oil and something metallic. Suddenly, Raven reared, slamming her hooves against the stall door. Tara spun around, heart pounding. From outside there was a sudden crash. Wood splintering, the distinct sound of a door forced open. Tara's instincts kicked in. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911 with trembling hands. "There's someone in the barn," she whispered, voice barely steady. "Send help, please. My address is—" A shadow moved at the barn's far end, ducking between bales of hay. Tara's breath caught. She edged toward the exit, eyes straining to see through the gloom. "Who's there?" she demanded, voice shaky but firm. No answer. Then, with a rush of adrenaline, she saw the masked figure, a tall silhouette in a dark hoodie and gloves, dart out of the tack room, bolting past her and out the side door. Tara lunged to follow, but Raven blocked her path, snorting and stamping her hooves in warning. She paused, hand pressed to the Mustang's shoulder. Outside, she caught the flash of headlights and the squeal of tires tearing down the gravel drive. Tara sprinted to the yard, heart hammering as she watched a pickup, black, dented, the same one she'd seen idling on her road, speed away, fishtailing in the mud. She made out the vague outline of another figure in the passenger seat, but the plates were covered in thick, fresh mud. Anna burst from the house, eyes wide with terror. "Raven!" she cried, voice cracking. "It's okay, baby," Tara called, running to Anna and scooping her into a fierce embrace. "They're gone now. We're safe. We're safe." But the shaking in her arms told Tara otherwise. The police arrived within 15 minutes, red and blue lights splashing across the fields. Agent Carter was not far behind, face set and grim as he surveyed the splintered barn door and the tire tracks leading back toward town. "This wasn't random," Carter said, crouching to inspect the muddy prints. "They wanted to scare you. Or worse, take Anna back. Did you recognize anything about them?" Tara shook her head, hands still trembling. It was too dark. They wore masks, but they knew exactly where to go. They broke in at the back, near the stalls. Raven went crazy, I think. I think she stopped them from getting any closer." Carter nodded, then glanced at Anna, who stood in the doorway, fists clenched at her sides. "Anna, do you remember anything? Did you see their faces? Hear their voices?" Anna shook her head, but Tara saw a flicker of memory or fear pass across her face. She drew her close, whispering reassurances, promising again and again that she wouldn't let anyone take her away. "We need to get you both better protected," Carter said. "I'll have a unit posted at the end of your drive, 24/7. And if you remember anything else, anything at all, you call me first, before anyone else." That night, Tara didn't sleep. She sat at the kitchen table with a baseball bat in her lap, phone fully charged, every light in the house blazing. She watched Anna on the couch, Raven's halter still clutched in her hands, the Mustang herself pacing outside the window, a silent guardian beneath the porch light. The next morning, the farm felt changed, violated. The barn door hung crooked on its hinges. Raven was still agitated, eyes wide and wild, nostrils flaring at the slightest sound. Anna refused to leave Tara's side, even for a moment. Later that afternoon, Carter returned, this time with 2 deputies. They canvassed the property, collected evidence, and made plaster casts of the tire tracks. Carter set up a perimeter with motion-detecting floodlights and insisted Tara and Anna stay inside after dark. "We're closing in," he said, voice low and serious. "Anna's drawings match some of our surveillance from previous cases. There's a woman, known as the Silver Lady. She's at the center of all of it. We think she's the one after Anna." Tara's blood ran cold. The image of the cold-eyed woman with silver jewelry haunted her memory. Why does she want Anna so badly? Tara whispered, voice cracking. Carter hesitated. Anna's the only one who ever got away. She's the key to bringing the whole ring down. That makes her both a threat and a target. Night fell hard over the hollow that day. But as Tara checked the locks, hugging Anna close and feeling Raven's breath on her shoulder through the window, she made a vow. No one would take this girl from her farm. Not now. Not ever. The real fight was only beginning. The next morning, sunlight did little to wash away the dread that had settled over Tara's farm. She found herself studying every shadow, every unfamiliar car that passed by the road. The new patrol car at the end of her drive was some comfort, but Tara knew the danger wasn't over. She kept Anna close, always within arm's reach, and checked on Raven so often the Mustang seemed to sense Tara's own anxiety. Over breakfast, Anna pushed her eggs around her plate, eyes flickering to the sketchbook that never left her side. She'd barely spoken a word since the night of the break-in, but Tara noticed she'd begun drawing again, pages filled with cryptic shapes, lines, and codes that made little sense at first glance. Later that morning, Agent Carter arrived with 2 FBI technicians. He brought a sense of urgency, his jaw set, eyes burning with determination. We pulled data off the burner phone from the cache, he explained. There are numbers, partial texts, and what looks like coded schedules. If Anna remembers anything at all, we need it now. Tara glanced at Anna, who sat at the kitchen table, legs swinging beneath her chair. Carter knelt beside her, holding out a legal pad and a pen. Anna, you're very brave, he said gently. Can you help us figure out what these mean? Anna hesitated, glancing at Tara, then at Raven, who watched through the kitchen window. Slowly, she opened her sketchbook to a page covered in grids, dates, and little boat drawings. She began to copy the codes onto Carter's legal pad, dates paired with strange symbols, marked locations, and the image of a warehouse with a silver serpent painted over the door. Tara's heart pounded as Anna drew. She recognized one of the locations, a defunct mill outside Ash Hollow, abandoned for years. Agent Carter looked up, his face grave. Did you see these places? Carter asked softly. Or hear the Silver Lady talk about them? Anna nodded, gripping her crayon tighter. With Tara's encouragement, she added small details, an old railroad spur, a sign with faded letters, the sound of water nearby. The pattern was clear. These were drop points, trafficking sites, schedules for moving children through the region. Tara felt a mix of pride and horror. Anna was decoding the secrets of the very people who'd hunted her. The investigation shifted into high gear. Carter took the codes and sketches back to his office, and soon there were more cars on Tara's road, unmarked sedans, agents in windbreakers, and the sheriff's cruiser making the rounds. Tara kept Anna close to the house, limiting trips to the barn and only venturing out when the deputies gave the all clear. But even with all the precautions, Tara knew they needed to act fast. One afternoon, Carter called with a plan that chilled her to the bone. We think the ring is planning a move tomorrow night, he said. They're using the mill, and Anna's clues match surveillance from our team. But we need someone on the inside, a distraction. Tara, I know this is a lot to ask, but would you be willing to help us draw them out? Tara's breath caught. You want me to act as bait? Carter's voice softened. You know the land. You know the faces. They trust you. We'll have you wired, and our team will be everywhere. Anna will be far away, safe. But this could finally bring them down. Tara's mind raced, every nerve on edge. She looked at Anna, sitting quietly, clutching her sketchbook, trusting Tara with her safety and her secrets. Tara knew she had to do this. She owed it to Anna, to every kid whose picture was in that battered toolbox. "All right," she said, voice trembling. "I'll do it. But I want two things. Anna stays safe and Raven comes with me. She's got instincts I trust more than anyone's." Carter agreed, setting the plan in motion. That night, Tara hardly slept. She packed a small bag with essentials, gave Anna a long, fierce hug, and told her, softly, so only Anna could hear, that she'd come back, no matter what. Anna pressed a small drawing into Tara's hand. It showed Raven standing between Tara and a shadowy, silver-clad woman. The next evening, the operation unfolded like a nightmare in slow motion. Carter's team outfitted Tara with a wire and a small earpiece. Raven, restless and wary, stayed close by her side. The plan was simple. Tara would approach the old mill under the pretense of bringing supplies, while the FBI team surrounded the building, waiting for the traffickers to appear. The woods around the mill felt colder than usual, the air thick with anticipation. As Tara walked toward the sagging structure, every step felt heavy. Raven moved with her, muscles taut, ears flicking at every distant sound. Tara's heart pounded as she neared the entrance. Suddenly, Raven whinnied, a high, sharp warning. At that exact moment, Tara saw movement in the shadows. A figure in a silver jacket slipped around the corner. Another crouched by the loading bay. Tara's blood turned to ice. She spoke into her collar mic, her voice low, calm. "They're here. 2 at the bay, 1 at the main door." Before Carter could respond, a heavy hand clamped down on Tara's shoulder. "Thought you'd come alone," a gravelly voice hissed. Tara wrenched free, ducking as another figure lunged from the darkness. Raven charged, hooves flashing. The horse barreled between Tara and her attackers, forcing them to scatter. Tara bolted for the mill, adrenaline surging, her earpiece crackling with Carter's commands. "Hold your ground! Team's moving in!" A figure tried to grab Tara again, but Raven lashed out, driving the assailant back. Sirens wailed in the distance, agents closing in. Tara sprinted toward the agent's lights, breath ragged, heart hammering in her chest. Within moments, law enforcement flooded the mill, sweeping through every corner. The traffickers scattered like startled crows, but the FBI team was ready. Tara collapsed to her knees, Raven pressing close as the danger receded and Carter's team swarmed the building. When Carter reached her, his face was white with shock and relief. "You did it, Tara," he said. "You drew them out. We've got them on tape. Anna's clues, your courage. It all worked." Tara clung to Raven, tears spilling freely now. She'd faced the darkness and survived. But as the blue and red lights painted the woods, Tara knew the fight wasn't finished. The Silver Lady was still out there. And Anna, wherever she was counting on Tara to see this through, until no child had to run, and no one had to hide ever again. The night after the sting at the mill, the air in Ash Hollow was crackling with a tension that Tara could almost taste. Word spread quickly in a small town, and even though the details remained secret, people sensed that something was happening. A turning point. But for Tara, Anna, and the team of agents now camped around the farm, there was no time for relief. The Silver Lady was still out there, and Anna's clues had revealed one final chilling lead: a warehouse deep in the woods, hidden by the winding roads and thick Appalachian pines. Agent Carter gathered the team in Tara's living room, maps and satellite photos spread out across the table. Anna sat close by, her sketchbook open to a drawing of the warehouse, big, windowless, with the coiled serpent painted over the metal doors. She pressed a trembling finger to a spot in the drawing. "Here," she whispered, her voice almost too soft to her. "They keep the others here." The room went silent. Carter looked at Tara, then at the rest of the agents. This is it, he said. We hit the warehouse at dusk. We go in fast, go in hard, and we bring everyone out. No mistakes, no second chances. Tara's heart hammered. The risk was immense. If the traffickers caught wind of the raid, they might disappear for good, taking the children with them. Tara squeezed Anna's hand. We're going to get them out, she promised, her voice steady. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, the team moved out. Law enforcement vehicles crept down old logging roads, lights off, tires crunching softly over gravel. Raven was there, saddled and alert, her eyes wide in the evening gloom. Tara was part of the first group to approach, crouched in the shadows, pulse pounding in her ears. Carter's voice whispered over the radio. Positions. Go on my mark. Inside the warehouse, shadows flickered behind the grimy windows. A woman's silhouette, tall, sharp-shouldered, silver jewelry gleaming at her neck and wrists, paced near the door. Tara felt the old terror rising, remembering Anna's drawings, the threat in the silver lady's eyes. Carter raised his hand. Go, now! Chaos exploded. Agents surged forward, ramming open the warehouse doors with a crash. The silver lady screamed, lunging for a side exit, but two officers blocked her escape. Men in dark coats tried to flee, but Carter's team herded them down, weapons drawn, voices echoing through the hollow shell of the building. Tara and Raven moved inside with the agents, heart slamming in her chest. The air was thick with fear. Children's cries, shouted orders, the crash of metal on concrete. In a far corner, behind stacked crates, Tara spotted a group of children, 4, maybe 5, some barely more than toddlers, huddled together, wide-eyed and terrified. Raven's presence was a godsend. The Mustang nudged open the last of the crates, clearing a path for the agents. Tara called out, her voice trembling, "It's okay! We're here to help!" The children flinched, but when they saw Raven, calm, steady, impossibly gentle, they hesitated, then crawled toward the horse, clutching at Tara and the officers who reached for them. One boy, older than the others, stared at Tara with haunted eyes. "My sister, Anna," he stammered, voice raw with hope and disbelief. Tara knelt beside him, tears blurring her vision. "Anna is safe," she whispered. "She's waiting for you." Meanwhile, the silver lady thrashed against her captors, her cold gaze sweeping the room. "You think this ends with me?" she spat, voice icy and defiant. "There are more. There will always be more." Carter didn't flinch. "Not tonight." He snapped the cuffs on her wrists, the click echoing in the cavernous warehouse. Outside, Tara led the children to safety, Raven's strong body a shield against the swirling chaos. Paramedics arrived, wrapping the kids in blankets, checking for injuries. The relief on their faces, shock and disbelief turning slowly to hope, brought Tara to her knees. She hugged the boy who'd asked for Anna, rocking him gently, whispering that he was safe now, that it was over. Anna waited with Mrs. Hopper and Maribel near the patrol cars, her small face white with fear and anticipation. When she saw her brother step from the shadows, her composure shattered. She broke into a run, the two of them colliding in a tangle of arms and tears. Tara stood back, overcome by the moment. Carter came to her side, eyes shining with gratitude and something deeper, a respect born of shared danger. "We couldn't have done this without you," he said quietly. "Or Raven. Or Anna. She's the bravest person I've ever met." Tara nodded, unable to find her voice. She watched the silver lady being led away, the ring finally broken, the traffickers in custody. But it was the children, their freedom, their reunion, their fragile hope that mattered most. That night, as law enforcement packed up, and the lights of the warehouse faded into darkness, Tara walked home beside Raven. Her legs trembled from exhaustion, but her heart was lighter than it had been in months. She found Anna and her brother curled together on the porch swing, fast asleep, wrapped in a single blanket. For the first time since that misty morning in the woods, Tara allowed herself to hope that Ash Hollow could be a place of safety again. A place where the echoes of fear were finally silenced by courage, community, and the enduring bond between a girl, a horse, and the family they'd fought so hard to save. The raid at the warehouse marked a turning point, not just for Anna, her brother, and the rescued children, but for the whole of Ash Hollow. It was as if a long, poisonous shadow had finally lifted. In the days that followed, the small Appalachian town buzzed with relief, whispers of gratitude, and a kind of collective awe for what Tara, Raven, and Anna had survived. But for Tara, the work had only begun. Tara's farmhouse transformed into a kind of makeshift sanctuary. After their release from the hospital, Anna, her brother Nico, and two of the other children spent their first days of freedom on Tara's porch, eating bowls of homemade soup and sitting wrapped in soft blankets, staring at the blue sky in disbelief. At first they were quiet, haunted by memories that lingered at the edges of every conversation. But the safety and warmth of Tara's home and the steady, calming presence of Raven began to work a quiet magic. Raven was the heart of it all. The Mustang, once wild herself, seemed to understand the unspoken language of trauma. She grazed near the porch during the day, wandered the yard with Anna and Nico in tow, and stood sentry beneath the moonlight when nightmares came. Children who couldn't speak to adults would whisper to Raven, braiding her mane or tracing their fingers over her velvety nose. Tara watched these moments unfold, her heart swelling with a mix of pride and fierce protectiveness. Word spread about Raven's effect on the children. Soon, local families and even a counselor from the county office reached out to Tara, wondering if Raven could help other kids, those scarred by trauma, those struggling with fear and anger. Tara was hesitant at first, worried about overwhelming the horse or the children. But when Anna nodded enthusiastically, she knew it was the right thing to do. Tara began organizing gentle meet-and-greet sessions at the farm. She worked with Maribel, the social worker, and Mrs. Hopper to design activities, grooming Raven, leading her on quiet walks, drawing pictures of favorite places and dreams. Anna, usually silent in crowds, became a quiet leader, showing newcomers how to approach Raven, how to speak softly, how to let their fear ease in the animal's gentle presence. One Saturday, the farm was alive with laughter for the first time in months. Parents watched from lawn chairs as children giggled, brushed Raven, and played beneath the old oak tree. Some of the kids opened up for the first time, their words tumbling out in a torrent. Others simply rested their heads against Raven's warm flank, tears slipping silently down their cheeks. Tara kept a close eye on each child, remembering her own days in trauma wards, the importance of listening more than speaking. She made sure every child left with a drawing, a handful of wildflowers, or just the memory of a moment when fear loosened its grip. News of the farm's healing days spread further. The local school invited Tara to speak at an assembly about trauma, resilience, and the power of kindness. She stood before a gymnasium full of fidgeting children and anxious parents, sharing, without details, the story of how one girl's courage and one horse's instinct had helped heal not just individuals, but the town itself. The community responded in ways Tara never expected. The sheriff's department partnered with Tara and Maribel to launch new training for teachers, first responders, and volunteers on recognizing the signs of trauma and offering support. The town council passed new safety measures, increasing patrols near schools and organizing workshops on child safety. Local families donated food, clothes, and toys to children in need. Neighbors who'd once looked at Tara with suspicion now brought casseroles and cards, their gratitude genuine and deep. Raven, for her part, became something of a legend. A local journalist published a piece about the healing Mustang of Ash Hollow, and soon Tara's mailbox overflowed with letters, some from nearby counties, others from as far away as Texas and New York. Most were simple thanks, but some were pleas for advice or help for a hurting child. Tara replied to every letter, even when the tears fell as she wrote. Anna, too, continued to heal in her own way. With her brother Nico by her side, she began to speak more, her voice soft but growing stronger with each day. She spent hours drawing hopeful images. Her family reunited, Raven surrounded by smiling children, the town holding hands around the farmhouse. Tara framed some of Anna's artwork and hung them in the living room, daily reminders of just how far they'd come. But not every day was easy. Sometimes, a slammed door or an unexpected visitor sent Anna or one of the other children retreating into silence or trembling panic. On those days, Tara would sit beside them, offering quiet comfort, her hand resting gently on Raven's mane. The road to healing was long and uneven, but together they walked it, one step at a time. One evening, after the last of the visitors had gone, Tara and Anna sat on the porch, watching fireflies blink over the pasture. Anna leaned her head against Tara's shoulder. "Thank you," Anna whispered, "for not giving up on me, for Raven, for everything." Tara blinked back tears. "You saved yourself, Anna. We just made sure you had a safe place to land." As darkness fell over Ash Hollow, Tara felt a quiet pride. This wasn't just a story of survival, but of transformation, a proof that even the deepest wounds could begin to heal when kindness, courage, and community stood together. And in the heart of the farm, under the watchful gaze of a Mustang who'd once run wild and free, hope found a home, one that would welcome any child who needed it, for as long as they needed to stay. Time moved differently after the raid and rescue. The sharp fear that had stalked Tara, Anna, and everyone on the farm began to fade, replaced by a gentler uncertainty, a sense that, while the worst was over, healing would be a much slower, more complicated journey. The farmhouse grew busier each week as word spread about Tara's workshops for parents and first responders. What started as a small circle of neighbors and teachers in her kitchen expanded into monthly sessions at the community center, drawing people from neighboring counties. Tara spoke candidly about the trauma she'd witnessed, both as a nurse in the city and as someone who'd watched a child come back from the edge of terror. She showed, with Raven's help, the power of patience and presence. Raven became the star of every demonstration. With her unflappable calm, she showed people, adults and kids alike, what it meant to stand steady in a storm. Tara guided parents and police officers as they learned to approach a child the way Raven did, without hurry, without expectation, letting trust grow at its own pace. Sometimes Anna would help, gently leading Raven through the room, pausing as children reached out uncertain hands. The community was changing. Ash Hollow's residents, once wary, sometimes judgmental, grew kinder, more attentive. People stopped Tara in the grocery store to thank her, or to ask advice about a withdrawn grandchild, or a neighbor who seemed not quite right. The sheriff's office reported a rise in calls for suspicious activity, but also an increase in neighbors checking in on each other, building the kind of net that kept the vulnerable from falling through the cracks. Yet for all the good, Tara couldn't shake a persistent ache deep inside, a quiet grief for those she couldn't save. At night, when the house was still and Anna and Nico slept soundly at last, Tara sometimes sat on the porch with Raven, lost in thought. She remembered faces from her days in the ER, children who hadn't made it out, voices she could no longer recall, but whose pain she felt as if it were her own. The guilt was sharpest on quiet mornings, when the fog crept through the hollow and the memories seemed most real. Sometimes Tara wondered if she was doing enough, if any amount of kindness could truly erase the scars left behind by fear and violence. One particularly cold morning, Tara found Anna sitting alone by the fence, her breath misting in the air. The girl was drawing, her expression serious. Tara sat down beside her. "Couldn't sleep?" Tara asked. Anna shook her head. "Nightmares. About the warehouse. About before." Tara nodded, giving Anna space to share if she wanted, or to keep her silence if she needed. "I saw them," Anna whispered, not looking up. "Other kids. Some got away, but some didn't." Tara swallowed, fighting tears. "It's not your fault, Anna. You were just a child. You did what you had to survive. And because you were brave, you helped save others too." Anna nodded slowly, but Tara saw the shadow that lingered behind her eyes. She recognized it. It was the same one that haunted her own dreams. Later that day, Tara joined a meeting of the new crisis support group at the community center. They talked about loss, resilience, and the ways trauma lingered, sometimes for years. Parents shared stories of their children's struggles, trouble sleeping, sudden anger, a silence that seemed to settle in their bones. Tara offered what she could: tips on creating routines, on showing patience, on not giving up when progress seemed to stall. She watched as neighbors, once strangers, now exchanged phone numbers and promised to check in on each other. The changes were small but real. Doors left open for kids after school, casseroles delivered to homes in crisis, a sense of watchfulness that wasn't about suspicion, but about care. Anna and Nico continued to heal in their own ways. Nico enrolled in school, where teachers watched out for him and classmates invited him to birthday parties. Anna started drawing new things: bright skies, children laughing, Raven running free. But there were still dark days when she would retreat into silence, clutching her sketchbook and sitting close to Raven in the barn. Tara learned to accept those days as part of the process. She knew healing wasn't linear. Sometimes, just making it through to the next morning was a victory. One afternoon, Anna surprised Tara by joining her at the podium for a workshop. The room was full: teachers, social workers, even the mayor. Anna stood quietly by Tara's side, her sketchbook pressed to her chest. After Tara finished speaking, Anna opened the book to a drawing of her family, the farmhouse, and Raven, all beneath a bright sun. "This is what safe looks like," Anna said, her voice clear and steady. "We all need someone to help us find it." The audience was silent for a long moment. Then applause broke out, hesitant at first, then growing stronger, echoing through the hall. That evening, Tara and Anna sat together on the porch as dusk settled over the hollow. The pain hadn't vanished, but it no longer controlled them. Anna leaned into Tara's side, Raven grazing peacefully in the distance. "I used to think I'd never feel safe again," Anna said softly. "Me too," Tara admitted, voice gentle. "But we helped each other. That's how healing works. Not just for us, but for the whole town." They watched the fireflies dance, the sound of laughter drifting from the open windows behind them. Tara felt something shift inside, a quiet acceptance that pain and hope could coexist, that the past could shape you without defining you forever. Ash Hollow had become more than just a refuge. It was now a place where pain was met with compassion, where fear had to answer to the strength of a community that refused to turn away. And as the stars emerged, Tara knew that the work would go on. For every child like Anna, for every frightened parent, for everyone still searching for a way through the darkness, there was a light waiting, however small, to guide them home. Months slipped by in Ash Hollow, marked now by the turning of leaves and the rhythmic, familiar sounds of the farm at work. There was a new sense of safety here, a gentler light in the windows at dusk, as if the land itself had breathed out the last of its fear and learned to trust again. Tara often found herself reflecting during those quiet evenings, her hands busy with chores or tending the garden, her mind drifting back to the chaos and pain that once haunted every corner of the farmhouse. She thought of Anna's first night, the dread and uncertainty that colored each sunrise. She remembered the darkness that threatened to swallow them, and the tiny but unyielding flame of hope that had flickered, sometimes faint, sometimes fierce, in the heart of one terrified girl and the wild Mustang that refused to leave her side. It was only as the seasons turned that Tara began to see just how far they'd come. The farm had become a sanctuary, not just for Anna and Nico, but for dozens of children and families who visited now every month. They came for the workshops, the therapy sessions, the healing with horses days that Tara and Maribel organized together. Children from Ash Hollow, from the city, even from neighboring states arrived shy and withdrawn, often silent at first, their eyes wary. And almost always, Raven would be the one to reach them. The Mustang's legend had grown. Kids who couldn't meet an adult's gaze would reach out, trembling, to touch Raven's muzzle or braid her mane. The horse would lower her head, standing perfectly still, as if she understood every unspoken word, every wound left by fear or violence. Sometimes Tara would watch Anna, her posture taller now, her voice stronger, guiding a group of younger children through the paddock, telling them Raven's story in her own words. She wasn't always gentle, Anna would say. She was wild once, but she learned to trust. And if she could do it, maybe we can too. Tara listened, heart swelling with pride and gratitude. She knew that the journey was far from over. Some days, the weight of what they'd all endured still pressed down, on Anna, on Nico, even on Tara herself. The nightmares came less often, but they hadn't vanished entirely. They were setbacks, hard days, moments when old memories resurfaced and the shadows lengthened across the fields. But the difference now was in how they met those moments. Not alone, not in silence, but together. With every child who learned to trust again, with every family that found support, Ash Hollow's legacy of pain transformed into one of resilience and hope. Tara poured herself into advocacy, determined that what happened in Ash Hollow would not be forgotten or repeated elsewhere. She spoke at conferences, joined panels with law enforcement and social workers, and wrote op-eds that were published in regional newspapers. Her message was always the same. Real courage is facing down darkness for someone who cannot fight alone. Healing means never letting fear silence compassion. With Agent Carter's help, Tara lobbied for better protections for at-risk children and more funding for trauma support programs. She pressed the town council to keep up their vigilance and the sheriff's department to continue their community engagement. She encouraged teachers to notice the quiet kids, the ones with the faraway eyes, and reach out instead of turning away. The ripple effect was undeniable. More neighbors volunteered for after-school programs and emergency shelters. Foster families received more training, and background checks became stricter. The old hesitation to get involved was slowly replaced with a new sense of shared responsibility. Kindness became contagious, sometimes in small, nearly invisible ways, like a hand on a shoulder or a casserole left on a porch, and sometimes in grander gestures, like a family taking in a child with nowhere else to go. Raven's legend lived on, not just in Ash Hollow but in the stories told by the children who'd once been frightened and alone. Anna, who now spoke at school assemblies with Tara, would hold up her sketches for everyone to see. The most popular showed Raven, drawn with wings, guarding a ring of children, some smiling, some still quiet, all safe within her protective circle. One day, as autumn painted the mountains with gold and crimson, Tara stood at the edge of the pasture, watching Anna and Nico play tag beneath the wide sky. Maribel joined her, holding a mug of steaming tea. "You know," Maribel said, "I think this place is going to be known for more than what happened here. People talk about Ash Hollow like it's a miracle, like there's something special in the air." Tara smiled. "It isn't magic, Maribel. It's people choosing not to look away. It's one child finding the courage to draw what she saw. It's a horse refusing to leave a frightened girl alone in the woods." "Still," Maribel said, "miracles come in all shapes. You, Anna, Raven, you turned pain into something that heals." Tara nodded, letting the moment settle around them. Later that evening, Tara wrote in her journal, as she often did, trying to put the last year into words. She found herself scribbling a message she hoped would reach anyone who needed it. Kindness is an unbroken chain. Every brave choice to act, even when afraid, brings the world closer to safety for the most vulnerable. She paused, glancing out the window at Raven standing guard under the stars, Anna's laughter echoing in the distance. "If Raven's story moved you," Tara wrote, "share it, because hope lives on in every heart that refuses to turn away." And so, as the moon rose high above Ash Hollow, its light falling gently on the old farmhouse, Tara felt something settle inside her, a peace she'd never thought possible. The scars remained, as they always would, but they no longer held her captive. They were reminders of loss, of survival, and above all, of the courage it takes to keep moving forward when darkness closes in. The legend of Raven and the compassion of a town that chose to fight for its children would carry on, one story, one act of kindness, one brave heart at a time.